The sound of a whip cracking through the quiet mansion made Daniel Carter stop cold. He had just walked through the front door after returning early from a business trip. But before he could even take off his coat, he heard a frightened cry coming from the living room. Then he heard his fiancée shouting. Daniel rushed inside. What he saw made his heart drop. Vanessa was standing near the staircase, holding a riding crop in her hand. In front of her, the young maid, Lily, was on the floor, crying and protecting her face with both hands. "Please, Miss Vanessa," Lily begged. "I swear I didn't do it." Daniel's voice echoed through the room. "Vanessa." She turned around in shock. "Daniel? You're home early." Daniel stared at the crop in her hand, then at Lily. "What happened?" Vanessa quickly lowered the crop. "She stole something from you," she said. "I caught her." Lily shook her head desperately. "No, sir. I didn't steal anything." Daniel looked at Vanessa. "What did she steal?" Vanessa hesitated before answering. "Your mother's necklace." Daniel froze. His mother's necklace had disappeared 3 days earlier. He had trusted Vanessa completely. She had even promised to help him find it. But suddenly, something didn't feel right. If you love emotional and mysterious stories like this, subscribe to the Kindness Story channel, like this video, and tell us your opinion in the comments. Daniel turned back to Lily. "Get up." Lily slowly stood. Daniel noticed the red mark around her wrist where Vanessa had grabbed her. His expression became serious. "Did Lily take my mother's necklace?" Vanessa answered quickly. "I found her near your mother's room." "Who else could it have been?" Daniel stared at her. "That isn't an answer." Vanessa's face changed. "You don't believe me?" "I believe you when you tell me the truth." The room became completely silent. Lily lowered her head. Daniel had known her for almost a year. She was quiet, hard-working, and respectful. When his mother had been alive, Lily had often stayed beside her when she was sick. Daniel had never forgotten that. "Lily," he said gently, "tell me what happened." Lily opened her mouth, but before she could speak, Vanessa's phone rang. Vanessa looked at the screen and immediately walked into the hallway. Daniel watched her carefully. He followed without making a sound. Vanessa answered the call in a low voice. "I told you to wait." Daniel stopped behind the wall. A man's voice came through the phone, but he couldn't hear everything. Then Vanessa whispered something that made Daniel's heart race. He wasn't supposed to come home until tomorrow. Daniel stepped away before she could see him. Who was she talking to? And why was she so worried about his return? When Vanessa came back, she acted as if nothing had happened. "Daniel, you need to trust me," she said. "Lily has been acting strange for weeks." Daniel nodded slowly. "Maybe." But inside, he had already decided to investigate. That night, he checked the mansion's security recordings. The footage from the day the necklace disappeared showed Lily walking toward his mother's old room. Daniel watched carefully. Lily entered carrying a small box. A few minutes later, she came out. Her hands were empty. Then Vanessa appeared. She entered the same room. Daniel leaned closer to the screen. Vanessa stayed inside for nearly 20 minutes. When she finally came out, she was holding something underneath her coat. Daniel's heart sank. He watched the recording again. Then again. Something was very wrong. The next morning, Daniel contacted his private investigator. "Find out everything about Vanessa's recent phone calls," he said. "And find out who she's been meeting." That evening, the investigator returned with several photographs. Daniel looked at them. One picture showed Vanessa meeting a man outside a small cafe. Daniel immediately recognized him. It was Vanessa's older brother, Marcus. But there was more. Marcus was deeply in debt. Daniel suddenly remembered Vanessa asking him for large amounts of money over the past few weeks. The strange phone calls. The missing necklace. The secret meetings. Lily's fear. Everything was beginning to connect. But Daniel still didn't know the whole truth. That night, he returned home without telling Vanessa what he knew. She was waiting for him in the living room. "Daniel," she said, "we need to talk about Lily." "No," Daniel replied calmly. "We need to talk about the necklace." Vanessa's face turned pale. "What about it?" "I know where it is." She swallowed hard. "Where?" Daniel placed an envelope on the table. "Your brother's apartment." Vanessa stepped backward. Daniel continued. "You took the necklace. You planned to sell it to help your brother pay his debts. But Lily saw you." Vanessa's eyes filled with tears. "You don't understand." "Then explain." Vanessa covered her face. "I was scared." Daniel remained silent. Finally, she confessed everything. She had taken the necklace. Lily had caught her. Lily had begged her to put it back. But Vanessa panicked. She threatened Lily and tried to make everyone believe that the maid had stolen it. Daniel looked at her with disappointment. "Why did you hurt her?" Vanessa began crying. "Because I was desperate. I thought if I lost everything, my brother would end up in prison." Daniel shook his head. "You could have asked me for help." "I was ashamed." Before Daniel could respond, Lily appeared in the doorway. She had heard everything. Daniel looked at her. "Why didn't you tell me?" Lily's eyes filled with tears. "Because I knew what it felt like to be desperate." She explained that Vanessa had once helped her when Lily's mother was struggling with medical bills. Lily felt she owed Vanessa. "But I never stole your necklace," Lily whispered. Daniel walked toward her. "I know." Lily began to cry. Daniel gently placed his coat around her shoulders. "You should never have been treated that way." Vanessa lowered her head. Daniel called the authorities and recovered his mother's necklace. But he also decided not to let anger destroy everyone involved. Vanessa lost her place in his life, but Daniel told her that forgiveness did not mean forgetting what she had done. It meant choosing not to become cruel because someone else had made a terrible choice. Then Daniel did something Lily never expected. He offered to pay for her mother's medical treatment. Lily stared at him in disbelief. "Why would you help me after all this?" Daniel smiled sadly. "Because you protected the truth when you had every reason to be afraid." Months later, Lily was no longer working as a maid. Daniel had helped her enroll in a nursing program because he remembered how patiently she had cared for his mother. One afternoon, Lily stood in the mansion's garden and smiled. "I don't know how I'll ever repay you." Daniel shook his head. "You don't have to." Lily looked at him. "Why did you trust me?" Daniel looked toward the old mansion. "Because sometimes the person everyone suspects is the person who has been protecting the truth all along." Lily smiled through her tears. That day, Daniel understood something money had never taught him. A person's worth is not measured by their clothes, their job, or their social status. Sometimes kindness hides behind a quiet voice. Sometimes fear looks like guilt. And sometimes the truth is standing right in front of us, waiting for someone to believe it. Before judging someone, we should always ask ourselves one simple question. What if I don't know the whole story? Because one moment of patience can uncover the truth, one act of kindness can change a life, and one decision to believe someone can become the beginning of a completely different future.